Hello, everyone. My name is Sage. I saw some stories like these pop up on my feed, and I thought I should share my own. I have been going through a lot, and talking about it helps. This story is about my crazy mother in law, Sydney, who was out of my life. I'm still not sure if she wanted to end me or simply wanted me out of her life. Here's what happened to me and my family. I have been married to my husband Nigel for about 3 years. So far, we have had a pretty good relationship and a happy marriage. But things got bad when his mother came to live with us. For years, Nigel was kind of in no contact with Sydney. He said, "You know why I don't keep in touch with Mom? She has been pretty abusive to Melissa since our childhood. She had a weird obsession with having sons, so she sort of neglected Melissa." "Are you serious? What happened? Melissa is such a sweet girl. Why would your mom neglect her?" "Because she is a girl. All our lives, Mom has been obsessing over me. She had us taken away and placed with Dad when I was 10. She let Melissa starve for 2 days because her mom thought she was being an attention seeker for not eating dairy. Turns out she was intolerant to it and it gave her tummy ache. Mom refused to believe her and punished her like that." "That's horrible. Didn't she take her to a doctor? The doctor would have explained it to her." "Mom isn't like that, Sage. She cared a lot about me, but never about Melissa. She didn't want to waste her money on taking her to the doctor. At first, I couldn't understand why we couldn't see Mom. Later, I realized just how toxic and abusive she was." Yes, that's my mother-in-law for you guys. She is a truly horrible woman, and I didn't know it until she came to live with us. She had lost her job and spent all her money on pyramid schemes. So she got in touch with Nigel and begged for help. Nigel initially refused because of horrible past experiences, but his extended family pressured him into giving her a chance. So we jointly decided to give it a shot. Guys, Sydney was a nightmare to deal with. As soon as she met me, she had some horrible things to say about me. She said, "I can't believe my son married a loser like you. If I was in his life, he wouldn't have married you. I see that he made a big mistake." "What do you even mean, Sydney? Nigel loves me and I love him. How the hell did he make a mistake by marrying me? We're happy together. He caters to you too much. He should be looking out for me more than you. You are weak and useless anyway. I can see how you manipulate him all the time, and you can't pull that shit with me. I know girls like you very well." What my dear mother-in-law had been talking about was how Nigel made sure nothing we ate had any nuts in them. Yes, I'm allergic to nuts, and Sydney has been informed. Still, she thought that I was lying for attention from Nigel. It was bizarre, especially because she had no idea that Nigel himself was allergic to nuts. Living with her made me realize just why Nigel never reached out to her. She criticized my cooking all the time and even hinted that I was a lazy bum. Mind you, I worked a good job and took care of the house with Nigel. Yet Sydney always had a problem with me. She complained that I took too much of Nigel's time and money. After tolerating Sydney's insults for months, I talked with Nigel. I was starting to get very irked by her behavior. I said, "Nigel, we need to do something about your mom. She's getting on my nerves constantly. You've seen how she talks to me. This is ridiculous." "I know, Sage, but what do you want me to do? You know she's like that. I really can't do anything about it. We have to adjust. She has no money. I cannot just kick her out." "But she's crossing our boundaries constantly. She doesn't even acknowledge me when you're around. Hell, she even interrupts our private time and takes you away to vent." "Look, I can understand your problems, but she is my mom. I do want to try and have some kind of relationship with her. She's old and needs a little help. You need to adjust with her a little, at least for my sake." Nigel's words did hurt, but I also understood her perspective. Both Nigel and Melissa were trying to have a relationship with Sydney. Their dad had passed years back, so they were desperate to have a connection with their only parent now. While Sydney was being attentive to Nigel, she was extremely rude to Melissa and me. Still, we continued to try and have a relationship with her. But Sydney never improved her stance towards me. She even tried to hurt me once. One day, I caught her sneaking peanuts into my milkshake. I confronted her. "What the hell, Sydney? Why were you adding peanuts to my milkshake? Who told you to touch my food? I'm allergic to peanuts. Why would you do that?" "Oh, cut the crap, Sage. Some peanuts won't kill you. Allergies are not real. You're just using this as an excuse to get attention from Nigel. I see how he fawns over you and makes sure you don't eat peanuts." "That's because I'm freaking allergic to it. How many times do I have to tell you? You could have killed me if I hadn't caught you." "Please, Sage, don't give me the drama. You are acting like a child. Peanuts won't kill you. Your acting and attention-seeking ways can't keep my son for long, you know." She said it like I was intentionally using my medical problems to trap my husband. I knew that she wanted Nigel all to herself. I was being a problem to her. I should have gone to Nigel about this situation, but I didn't. Again, I knew he was desperate about having his mom in his life. I didn't want to spoil it, so I kept quiet. Little did I know that Sydney never planned to stop. Months passed and Sydney kept purposefully trying to bait me into fighting with her. When I did take the bait, she ran to Nigel to complain about my behavior. Nigel then would proceed to berate me. I and Nigel fought a lot because he wanted me to keep giving her chances, but I was reaching the end of my wits. Turns out I didn't have to do anything to teach Sydney a lesson. It was Melissa's wedding in a few months that did the trick. Sydney was invited because Melissa wanted at least one parent on her side. She was trying her best to include her mom in her wedding. But Sydney had other plans for the wedding. During the reception, she was overly excited to take care of the food. She said, "Melissa, I think I should go check on the food. Make sure everything's fine. The dinner will begin soon." "Oh, you don't need to do that, Mom. I will personally go and check everything myself. I want to make sure everything has been done according to my directions." "Oh, dear Melissa, you don't have to worry about food. You are the bride and shouldn't worry about these things. I can do that myself. I'll make sure everything has been arranged well. It won't be a problem." "Not all the food is for everyone, Sydney. Some of us have allergies and only Melissa just wants to make sure we get our designated plates. You don't know about these arrangements that well." "Yeah, Mom, this is some serious stuff. I think you should stay away from the food. I will go and check them myself. I don't want anyone to get sick or worse." Sydney tried very hard to make Melissa give her the responsibility for food, but she refused every time. Slowly, I could see Sydney getting very frustrated. It was mind-boggling that she was so concerned about the food. I mean, she didn't even like her daughter that much anyway. I could smell something fishy. I have no idea why my instincts were screaming, so I decided to keep an eye on her. Lo and behold, I saw Sydney sneak into the kitchen area to where the plates had been arranged. Melissa had already checked the plates, so Sydney had no reason to be there. Back then, I should have followed her and made sure she didn't do something stupid, but I gave her the benefit of the doubt. I returned to my seat and sat down for the dinner service to begin. The food came out, and I saw that my and Nigel's plates were just like everyone else. I knew Melissa had prepared a separate dish for us. I was confused and didn't eat immediately, but I saw that Nigel had already started to eat before I could stop him. It took him 2 minutes to react to the dish. His throat was swelling, and he looked panicked. Melissa screamed, "Oh my God! Nigel, what's happening? You look red and your throat is swelling. What is wrong?" I think he's having an allergic reaction. There must be some mistake with our dishes. He ate some and is reacting. Oh my God, what the hell was he eating? Sage, you and Nigel should have got different dishes. These dishes were not allergy friendly. What do we do now? I have an EpiPen in my bag. I will use this on him now. Please call an ambulance. We still need to go to the hospital. He might have some serious health complications. I rushed to use the EpiPen while Melissa called 911. Everyone was shocked and Sydney came crying to us. She was hysterical and couldn't understand what was going on. She said, "What is happening to my poor baby? Why is he reacting this way?" "He ate something he was allergic to, Sydney." But only you were supposed to have an allergy. You were fine. How is he in pain? It should have been you. Because I didn't eat many dishes, Sydney. Nigel ate it before I could stop him. Wait a minute. Did you know that our dishes were wrong? Sydney looked pale and suddenly started to cry very loudly. She just sat down and cried. Some people heard our conversations and could make out what happened. Even I understood that Sydney had swapped the dishes to test my allergies. I was furious, but before I could do anything, I had to take care of my husband. Nigel was rushed to the hospital and we waited for the doctor to give him the clear. Thankfully, Nigel was fine. He was supposed to be admitted for a day for observation. Nigel was slightly traumatized but slowly recovering. Me, Melissa, her husband, and Sydney were all present. When Nigel woke up, he said, "How did I end up in the hospital? Damn, I remember my throat closing up. Did I eat something that had nuts?" "I'm so sorry, Nigel. I checked your plate later. You were not supposed to have those dishes. I ordered a special dish for you and Sage because you can't have nuts. I have no idea how you two got the wrong plates. Thank God Sage didn't eat it as well. I'm so sorry, guys." "Sis, this is not your fault. You were so far away from the table. You had no way of knowing that we got the wrong dish. I'm so sorry your wedding got affected." "But you landed in the hospital. I will never forgive myself for putting you in the hospital. I feel horrible. Please forgive me, Nigel and Sage." Melissa was crying hysterically while I, Nigel, and her husband tried to calm her down. Sydney was just standing in the corner looking agitated. Seeing Nigel in the hospital bed and Melissa blaming herself for it, I couldn't hold my anger anymore. I knew that Sydney wanted to hurt me and prove me to be a liar. What she ended up doing was horrible and I wasn't going to forgive her. So I decided to expose her. I said, "Melissa, you need to stop blaming yourself for everything. This is not your fault. This is not even your caterer's fault." "What do you mean, Sage? Of course this is our fault. We messed up big time. I hate myself." "No, Melissa, you didn't mess up. The caterers had arranged all the dishes exactly like you asked. It was Sydney who swapped all the plates." "What? Are you serious? Why would Mom do that? I specifically told her not to do anything. Even you told her to stay away." "Sage, why would Mom do this on purpose? She doesn't even know that I'm allergic to nuts. You know I developed it when I was in college." "No, Nigel. Sydney doesn't know you have a nut allergy. She did this to test me and my nut allergy. I saw her go into the kitchen after Melissa checked everything. She must have swapped the plates. Turns out it backfired on her and you ended up getting sick." "Wait, you're telling me that Mom is responsible for destroying my wedding and putting Nigel in hospital? And all this to test your allergies? This is insane. Mom, did you do this?" "Mom, is this true? Did you swap the plates at Melissa's wedding? Why the hell would you do that?" "Those are all lies. You shouldn't believe that witch's word. Nigel, she just wants to take you away from me. She hates me because I call her out on her tricks. You shouldn't believe her." "Well, there are security cameras in the kitchen. Why don't we go and watch those tapes? I'm sure the venue authorities would cooperate. At this point, Sydney started to hyperventilate again. She begged us not to watch the tapes while still claiming that she didn't do anything. Nigel and Melissa saw right through her actions. Even Melissa's husband was pissed. And meanwhile, I got the CCTV tapes from the kitchen in my mail. On our way to the hospital, I asked Melissa to contact the venue and ask for the tapes to see what went wrong. They had finally emailed me the tapes. I took out my phone and played a video in front of everyone. They were shocked to see Sydney swapping the plates in the kitchen. Nigel and Melissa both started to yell at Sydney and demand answers. Melissa said, "Mom, how could you do this to us? Not only did you spoil my wedding, but also hurt Nigel. Do you have no shame? You could have killed Nigel and Sage with your malice. You are freaking crazy." "Don't blame me, Melissa. No one cares about your stupid wedding anyway. I knew Sage as being an attention-seeking witch with her allergies. I just wanted to show Nigel and everyone that she is a liar. Nigel was not supposed to be hurt." "Mom, are you justifying your actions like that? Does Sage's life mean so little to you that you thought it was okay to test her allergies? How dare you try to hurt my wife like that? How dare you spoil Melissa's wedding and then tell her that it doesn't matter?" "This is all a misunderstanding, Nigel. Melissa and Sage are just blowing this out of proportion. I'm sure Sage is not allergic to nuts. She is focusing on me so that you don't find out about her manipulative ways. She wants me out of the house, so she's using this incident to shame me." By then, everyone else was fuming with anger. I was ready to jump down on her throat and throttle her, but I needed Nigel and Melissa to do something about it. Unless they give me the green signal, I couldn't proceed. So I said, "That is enough, Sydney. For the last few months, you have been doing everything in your power to hurt me. I put up with it because Nigel wanted a relationship with you. I can see that you have not changed at all, even after having your children taken away by court. I'm done with your antics, and I want to press charges for trying to harm us." No, you can't do that. Nigel, just look at how Sage is threatening me. I'm telling you, she just wants to get rid of me. She wants to get me arrested for a minor misunderstanding. Do something to save me, Nigel. "Oh, I will do something, Mom. I will do something for all the ways you have harmed me. Sage and Melissa. You have no shame in trying to blame Sage and dismissing Melissa's feelings. It's time we all make you face consequences. Sage, go ahead and call the police. I will press charges as well." "And so will I. She ruined my wedding by trying to poison my guests. I will press charges against her too. She could have easily hurt many others by swapping the plates. I will not let this go." Getting the green signal from them, I quickly called the police and informed them about everything. I sent them all the proof and called them over to get our statements. They would be on their way soon. Meanwhile, Sydney was busy trying to beg Nigel and Melissa not to press charges. She didn't have any money and no place to go. She kept crying to them and said, "How can you two get your mom arrested? You can't do this to me. Do you not love me even a little? I'm your mother." "You have never cared about me, Mom. Why should I care about you? All my life you fixated on Nigel and neglected me. I tried my best to keep a connection with you. You still never loved me. Hell, you even said that you don't care about my wedding." "Mom, we have had enough of your shit. All these months, I gave you a chance because I genuinely thought you have changed. I was wrong. I feel horrible for putting Sage through your toxic ways. We have had enough. You need to move out immediately. I will give you eviction papers. And don't even think about me bailing you out of jail." No, please don't abandon me. You cannot choose your wife over me. I'm your mom, and I'm more important. We can talk and make this right. Don't send me to jail. Don't kick me out, please. Melissa, please talk to your brother and make him understand. This shameless woman was still begging Nigel for forgiveness. Never once did she apologize to any of us. She just didn't want to lose her relationship with Nigel. It was horrible. Melissa was crying a lot while her husband held her. Nigel simply held my hand and refused to look at his mom. I called the nurse and told her to call hospital security to keep Sydney until the police arrived. Security came and dragged her away from the room, kicking and screaming. Later, the police came and took our statements. They also arrested Sydney for endangerment and trying to poison us. After Sydney was taken away, I called up my lawyer to tell him to prepare eviction papers. Later, I stayed back at the hospital with Nigel and we encouraged Melissa to go back to her reception. She was hesitant, but we assured her that we were fine. She left with her husband and returned. I stayed back with Nigel and we talked about all our misunderstandings in the past. I have forgiven him for not taking my feelings seriously. He was in a vulnerable position and I could understand his reactions. But Nigel promised that she will never be in our lives again. True to his words, Nigel evicted Sydney, didn't bail her out, and pressed charges against her. Me, Nigel, and Melissa also took out restraining orders against her for the shit she pulled. Her case went to court and she is looking at a prison sentence. With her previous record of child neglect, we are pretty sure the judge will put her in jail. Plus, she will be paying for all our medical bills and lawyers' fees. Not sure how she'll do that, but we will see. As for us, we're currently happy being away from Sydney. All the extended family members who asked us to take in Sydney were not apologetic. Even they promised to cut contact with her and never go near her again. Melissa and Nigel had to go back to therapy because of what Sydney did. It had brought them back bad memories and they realized that they needed help again. There has been some progress and we are holding on to each other for support. I'm happy to announce that I am pregnant and we are expecting a girl. I hope you will pray for us and specifically ask God to keep Sydney away from us.